thank you and welcome once again. Why did I say both? Because you were here with us in 2024, and I'm absolutely loving it that we're entering 2025 and we are still back, and so are you. So, thank you and welcome to Pedagogy Pods. Today, I have two very special friends of mine. Well, who they are and why they are here, we're definitely going to talk about it. But first of all, they are friends first and teachers later. Therefore, I'm just going to say a huge thank you to Prabjot, who has joined us today, and to Minakshi, who brought Prabjot over here. You're very familiar with both of us. I will let Prabjot say hello to you and introduce herself to you.
Hello, I have been teaching English for the last almost what? Well, on and off, but it's been over 20 years now. And I took a sabbatical 5 years back, just before COVID. Um, so I have not given up teaching completely. I am doing a little bit of voluntary work with an NGO where the key focus is on just improving spoken English skills. But invariably, yes, when we start doing that, we do end up teaching active grammar, which though it's not intended, but we feel the need to do it because children somehow the active grammar skills they tend to forget, and because they do, these are all students who are studying in English medium schools or are learning English as a subject, but they don't have people to communicate with
I
at
hear you.
home,
Hmm.
and therefore their English never does get polished.
Yeah. Thank you. That was introduction of an English teacher, and I'm going to introduce her in a very different light. You know, way back in 2003, I joined Sri Ram School, Aravali, and she was my first mentor. And I owe it to her till date, really. I mean, honestly, the way she made me comfortable, I didn't know how to teach. I was not a teacher. I was not even cut out to be a teacher. And here I was handling grade four. You remember that, Dr.?
I do.
What was your first impression of me? I just want to ask her. I've never asked her that. So let me ask her that.
Heavens, I don't know. It was such a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I think anybody who can speak fluent English can go ahead and teach English. So I don't think I saw that as an issue
Wow.
at all.
Okay. That's profound, actually. Anybody who can speak fluent English can teach English. Debatable. We're going to debate on that. That's a good one, actually. Let's start our talking about that. We didn't have really a topic in mind, but I think that's a good one. Meenakshi, what do you think?
I think it's a great idea to come up with the topic in between the talks. You bring
Yeah.
something which is so important. But I remember Prabjot is a very enthusiastic teacher. She was very active. I could see her. I also joined 1 year before you,
Yeah.
and I could see her in the corridors, and she was perfectly active and disciplining students. And she was as a teacher, she has that command.
Yeah. No,
And
I
I want
also
to
agree.
ask some questions about that to you, Prabjot. How did you manage your students in the class? What is your tip to teachers who joins a new this thing profession as a teacher? How should we manage our students? What is the key to that?
Wow. If I have to be very honest, um, I am a little old school, and though of course we all know that the Sri Ram culture does not use the rod, but yes, I had grown up with the philosophy of what is that?
Stick.
Spare the rod
Ah,
and spoil the child, or something
correct.
like that.
Correct.
Yes, that's the old one. So yeah, I have always been a very strict and a stern teacher, but I also do love interacting with children. And it's been very interesting. Most parents, new parents, when they come for the orientation, they invariably come hearing my reputation as being a very strict person. And it takes the first term for them to come back and say, "Oh, we thought you're very strict, but you're also very loving." So that was
Yeah, I
very
was gonna say.
reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
That was very reassuring to hear. But I do care for the kids. It's not like I don't. But yes, I was very demanding. I was often very demanding.
No, I would say, let me put it this way. The kind of teacher that I saw in you were very clear of the do's and don'ts in a classroom. You're very compassionate, so your passion would take over, and your need to connect with students, and they could connect with you very easily. They were never scared of you, even if, like you said, first term I would say is a very long time. You children warm up to you easily. I remember that you were always surrounded by children, and they were never fearful of you. The last thing that I
And
remember
another
is
thing I remember, Prabjot is a teacher that she is very much planned.
yeah, oh
When she
yeah,
goes to class, she's very
meticulous.
planned, meticulous with the students. She's and that way, I think students also take you very this thing nicely and
That's
seriously,
the
and
kind
they
of
want to
demeanor that they
learn
see.
from.
Yeah. And also, that's the kind of demeanor that they see, and that's why they invite them. So, possibly, if you want to call it strict, be it, but I think that's a way of life that you were conveying to students, and possibly they've grown it into real good human beings. As I have groomed up into a mature adult, I would say. But honestly, looking at myself way back in Sriram as a first time teacher to where I am, I think there are a number of people who collectively would have mentored me to be who I am today, and I think you were one of the almost the first ones that who did that. So, thank you.
Oh, Meenakshi, you're putting me on a pedestal. I really wish you wouldn't,
No.
but no, it was. I always felt any new person. I felt um, as recently as a few years back, I had another colleague who joined school, and she was feeling cornered by a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the regard, I just don't see why. We are a team in a school, and I think it's important for us to take each other along on the path.
That is so beautiful. That is
Absolutely.
so
That is so
beautiful. I
important.
really feel it from my
Not,
heart.
I mean, there's no need for us to be competitive about it.
Yes,
I think we just need to,
it's
if, especially, I think I have taught in other schools. It's not like I haven't, but I spent the largest chunk of my life teaching at the Sri Ram school,
Yeah.
where we always believed in putting the child first.
Yeah.
So if putting the child first means guiding a teacher on the path, what's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it?
Exactly. That's so agree.
and that makes the environment healthy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're competing with each other, and in that process, students are always
Which is ironical,
at
don't you
loss.
think? Because we don't even believe in competition among students.
Student.
We, as a school, we never believed in first, second, third report card,
Yes, yes.
or even at games, etc. Okay, we did have
Hmm.
sports day
Hmm.
where there was a winner in the race.
Everyone participated.
Everyone participated in everything.
Hmm.
We always taught that to the students. So then, why would we create any kind of a disparity when it comes to the
Hmm.
teachers?
That's very reassuring, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you what. With Prabjot, there were many special moments in the class. Prabjot, share with us one moment. If I say, okay, close your eyes and tell me what's the funniest moment in the classroom with students that you remember, or any of your teaching life.
Oh wow!
Mhm.
Oh wow!
This is putting on a pedestrian. I love it.
Oh, so I don't know if I can recollect a funny incident, but yes, many years after I had left school, when my daughter went into college and met one of my ex-students there, who, to be very honest, I had probably a very vague memory. I'd forgotten. You passed through with so many
Yeah.
students you hadn't, but the minute he heard that she was Prabjot's daughter, he said, "Oh, Prabjot ma'am was my teacher in grade 4, and she taught me the power of magic E."
Wow.
Magic
Really?
E.
That's like a very minute thing to even remember.
To remember,
Wow,
yes.
isn't it?
Must
Yeah.
be so important for the child.
Yeah, just imagine what an impact you must have had on that child.
Yeah. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because my father, when he was growing up, he studied in his early childhood years, he studied in Lahore.
Mhm.
And you can well imagine that their English teacher would teach English also in Punjabi, sort of.
Wow, I can imagine.
And yet, I found the power, and I've often repeated that story in many of my classes, and children have always found it very amusing. So, to teach the simple rule of using an S with the verb when the subject of the sentence is a singular third person.
Mm-hmm.
His teacher had taught him in Punjabi. He said, he, she, it, te kallana, jekar s laina, murke school aina.
Oh.
And my father used to laugh and he used to share. This is what my English teacher had taught us. And I found that so funny. Initially, when I was a kid, I didn't understand what is he talking about. But when I started teaching,
Yeah.
and I correlated with that, and I realized that many students make this noun verb agreement mistake in their sentences. And this was such a funny way. So the children remember it,
Profound.
you know.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely profound. Yeah.
I'm sure some parents may have been horrified that what is this new age English teacher talking in
Yeah.
Punjabi in a
No,
classroom.
but I think it's all
But-
right.
but
It's
it's
not.
something, yeah.
Yeah, it's the language that you can connect with, and if you
Yeah.
can convey it correctly. And Meenakshi, I'm sure you must have done something similar too with your students, where you would
Yeah, yeah.
help them learn certain concept, giving them a connection with something very big.
Yeah, yeah. I just was teaching students Varnmala.
Okay.
And Varnmala में I told them जैसे जैसे classroom है तुम्हारा and you put everyone in sections A B C D E F उसी तरह से we put every sentence in a rhythmic way.
Okay.
So we call it a section kavarg. So ka varg matlab ka section. So we put all 5 kids in a section. So this was taught by and they remembered it. They
Yeah,
remembered
I'm
it
sure.
that this is a
See,
section.
the minute you make a connection with something that is so real,
Connect
I
is
think
important.
children, the understanding is much deeper. But on that note, I have a thought to what you said earlier. Every teacher is a language teacher, but can every teacher teach language? I don't think I can teach. If I'm a science teacher, I will know the nuances. Even if I've studied that in my school as a student or maybe even college, I don't think I will have the capability to teach a language, because the way you will be able to use the nuances, I don't think I'll be able to handle. Even for Hindi, I speak Hindi very fluently, but I'm very colloquial about it. I don't do. Uh, I don't do the nitty gritties of Hindi, right? And these guys tease me about
Yeah.
that, but they don't need to. Okay.
I tell you what happens. Students can sense that because when it comes from the heart, you're passionate about a language, and you have this feeling about a language. When you're reading that language in the class, students can feel that. So that is important, and other things I think Prabjot can tell also.
I think you have raised a very valid point, Meenakshi. I think I was thinking purely from the perspective of English.
Yeah.
And English is increasingly a universally spoken language. Therefore, a large number of people are able to communicate more in English. But yes, you're absolutely right. I think my Hindi is not bad either. But probably I would not be able to teach the way you
Yeah.
teach it. You have a point there. Having said that, I think English, I feel very often. Now, for example, coming back again to my father, I would say,
Sure, sure.
he was a science student,
Hmm.
right? He's done his master's in physics, etc., and he was very passionate about mathematics, teaching mathematics. But he was also an extremely well-read man.
Hmm.
And while he may have had occasional, very Punjabi influenced pronunciation, uh, his language skills, his grammar skills, they were impeccable.
Right.
And I think it came from the fact that he was such a well read man.
Yeah.
And you could discuss any topic with him under the sun, and he would have an opinion and he would have his inputs to give. So I feel when it comes, at least from the English perspective, I feel if you're a well read person, but I'm sure even from the Hindi
Even from the
perspective,
Hindi perspective, if you're well read, because you read when you have passion for the language.
Absolutely.
So it teaches you many things. Reading is the first thing, I think.
You are right, but since English, and largely because most of our schools are English medium, at least
English
in the
medium, yeah.
cities,
Mm.
English does become the more spoken language.
Spoken
See,
language, yes.
that is your vehicle to convey your understanding. And therefore, we say every teacher is a language teacher. While you're teaching your subject, whether it is science, social science, mathematics, the only way you'll be able to know whether the students have understood or not is when they convey it in the language, and that is English language, because you're an English medium school. You're a very liberal school, you can give them the option of using their own language or Hindi language, as Meenakshi said. Yet, at the end of the day, they need to sit down for the boards. Yeah. And there they will have to write in English, right? For the examinations, which is very sad. I mean, let's not go there. But another school of thought is wherein I was at pathways, I was a homeroom teacher, which means I will be teaching all subjects.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I used to teach all subjects between English, math, science. I took all social sciences. I took all, right. Hindi, we had a teacher who used to visit, but English primarily I was taking because I was already an English teacher, like you said. Like at Sriram, I was the elocution teacher. I had never to save in my life done elocution, and I was teaching elocution. But like you said, that there are certain things that you also learn on the job,
Learn
and then
on,
there
yeah,
are,
yeah,
yeah,
true,
exactly,
true, true.
and then there were examples like them. They were doing it beautifully, and you could just imbibe. And I think sometimes you need to just flow it, go with the flow, but stay open-minded towards doing it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially in the primary years. I would say from grades till grade 5, you can simply just teach any subject. Uh, it's the methodology, it's the pedagogy that we are looking at, and as far as core facts or like the nuances are concerned, I think we can learn them because we've already learned them back in school. It's a matter of refreshing,
Absolutely.
right?
So, absolutely, I do agree with you. I've taught social studies to primary classes,
Yeah.
and I've enjoyed teaching social studies because I do like exploring new places and talking about the countries. At this primary level, it's mostly
Yeah.
about India, and I am a fairly well traveled person, so
Yeah.
I could bring in a lot of personal experiences to enhance
Mm.
the classroom learning. Having said that, I know what you're talking about, but I was volunteering at a school in Himachal Pradesh recently, where a large section of the student community comes from villages.
Yeah.
Like I said, no exposure to spoken English back home. Once they're back home, everybody's talking in Punjabi or Hindi, and I was supposed to tag the teachers teaching Cambridge board classes over there.
Wow.
But on day one, the teacher, just by talking to me, she says, please come and talk to the students. All she wanted was to get them exposed to fluent. And I did have some of the boys who initially came to me on day one and like typical 11th graders, why do we have to learn English?
Oh.
And the challenges. But by the second or third day, and if I call them, I was trying to prepare some of them for a TED talk.
Wow.
And one boy came up with a huge attitude of like, how much time is it going to take? Like he had other important things to do. But when I started talking and explaining to him what he needed to do, I said, okay, I'm done for now. You can go back to your class. He said, no, ma'am, you can carry on now.
It's a lowering of the guards. Like I said, children warm up to us so easily. And that's a core example of that,
Yeah,
isn't it?
and this boy eventually he says, I can't participate in TED because my parents are hounding me to focus on my academics. It is
Right.
exams are approaching. But ma'am, next year I promise you I will.
So
There you
And I
sweet.
hope you
That's a
come back
turnaround.
again to prepare me next year. Only because, and he wanted to, he says, ma'am, I want to be able to speak fluent English the way you
Yeah.
talk. And I really feel the
Yeah.
only thing that will help is being, exposed, having the right vocabulary to express yourself. I think that just comes from
And giving opportunities to
and
students,
giving opportunities, of
which
course.
is very important. If you're not given that, then you
Yeah.
will not never be exposed to that. Yep.
One more thing that I hear from both of you, the love for language. That's very important. And I know her. Okay, I'm not sure if you know this. I really don't know. I'm going to ask. Do you know what is her qualification otherwise?
No, I
She's a
didn't.
major in economics and she taught Hindi.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
And
that
she's
is.
very passionate about Hindi. You have to just ask her to start talking about it. She did not like the fact that we talk in English all the time on this
हाँ, मैं बहुत
podcast.
बार बोल चुकी हूँ कि हम हिंदी में पॉडकास्ट
Therefore,
करेंगे.
expect one pure Hindi podcast from us. One. Because I want to reach out to many and I understand that you don't understand. But there's AI. You can always get it translated. I can always give you captions. But her love for
बट जो जो
language
भाषा
is what I want her to speak
जो
about.
हिंदी में मजा आता है वो
I know.
बोलने में सुनने में.
You're absolutely right. Like for her to understand something in Punjabi and make a connection, it took time. But then it's best understood in Punjabi only if you understood, right? It's the same thing with
Same
you.
thing.
Yeah. So she advocates Hindi and Hindi Divas. I remember you started Hindi Divas.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
हिंदी दिवस जो है मैं वैसे ज़्यादा उसकी वो नहीं करती, क्योंकि एक दिवस से काम नहीं चलता। हमें पूरा साल चाहिए होता है, हमें पूरा टाइम चाहिए होता है जब हम एक भाषा को नर्चर कर सकते हैं। बट Hindi Divas was an opportunity for all of us. So we just went by, we celebrated Hindi Week. And Hindi Week, we just planned so many things, elocution or debates, which students liked so much, and that debate is still continuing. That it's an yearly event now. Inter-school debate we started, and it's so beautiful. The students who don't understand Hindi, they also want to participate in that, and they are so good when they are debate. They just like it so much. So many activities we did.
There you go. I told you it's a love for the language. No, I'm sitting here with two passionate language teachers and two very dear friends as well. So thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed what we talked about. We just sat on the couch, spoke about something. Hope you enjoyed your time with us. Thank you for joining us on Pedagogy Pod. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.